Hey, what is up guys? Today I'm filming a recap for The Other Way. It recently just dropped. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be covering it. I'm just gonna be like trying to figure out how I'm gonna juggle 2 shows, but I want to keep recapping it. I will do so. Do my intro really quick. What do I say? What? I just filmed last week and how did I forget? If you're new here, subscribe, like this video, comment, check out my other videos if you haven't already. Make sure you check out my socials. If you're not keeping up with them, you are missing out. And check out my podcast, Pretty Open-Minded. Post notifications because you don't know when I post. So this was a very long, lengthy episode. I forgot how long 90 Day Fiancé shows are. Like, oh my god, bro, these are longer than fucking Gypsy Rose episodes. I don't even take this much notes for Gypsy Rose, but it just goes on and on. Like, only want to recap a few couples if I do choose to do this show recap. I don't want to do Shekinah and Sarper, and I don't want to do like that Italian Irish couple because they look really freaking boring. But I definitely want to do like Statler and Dempsey because I am really intrigued, and since there was so much tea on Dempsey recently, I was like, oh my god, this is kind of weirdly timed because she was just talking shit about her like a month ago. I do want to say, like, before, I just got, like, my mom literally texted me earlier while she was at work telling me that my grandma saw Kimberly, I think she was also on The Other Way. Kimberly, she was with Soulja Boy, and she saw her at her store that she works at, and I was like, bro, that's kind of crazy. But I wish I could have gotten a picture of her so I could have like put it in here or something. But so it starts off with a man named James. He's 33 and he lives in Maine. So he's an elevator mechanic for his family's company. He introduces himself by showing himself mining in the forest and showing his wife Matalia, and people call her Tata. She's 27, from Indonesia. When I first saw this woman, I thought she was freaking like underage because she looks so freaking young. I don't believe she's a little bit older than me. Like, I have a hard time believing that, but this woman looks so freaking young. Like, I can't say middle school young, but she looks like she's still in high school. I'll say the same thing about me. Like, this year when I was going to my dentist appointment, like, my Uber driver was like, oh, what school do you go to, or something. She was talking about school and she was asking me like what I do and stuff like that, and I told her that I was in college. Well, I am still in college. And she's like, college? I thought you were in middle school this whole time. And I was like, I am not in middle school. What type of middle schooler? What? I was a little offended, but then I'm like, maybe I should be grateful because I just always have had a baby face. And people always mistake my age all the time, but I know that she probably gets those same type of comments because she looks very young for her age. She talks about like how she grew up, and she grew up in a banana city is what she calls it, because where she grew up at, there was different types of bananas there. She goes on to say that they've been married for 2 years, but they dated for 5 years. To say that they met on social media. He was doing like photography, and I peeped his Instagram, and he does take really good pictures. Like, they're pretty good. Like, I remember the days where I was doing photography and I was taking like cool shots like that too. And they were also, I don't know if it was them, maybe it's a different couple, but he takes some really cool shots. He was doing photography and she was working as a model and actress in her country, and then they found each other through an algorithm, and that's how he slid in her DMs. She goes on to say that he didn't have any type of game at all because all he said was, hey there, but she was like, well, he's cute. So people are just really awkward. I don't know how to slide in people's DMs either, so I can't even like make fun of it. But also, I don't really slide in people's DMs, to be honest with you. It's a very rare occurrence when I like see someone attractive and I'm like, damn, I should slide in their DMs. Tata goes on to say that they used to video call like every single day, and then since that he's like weird and to himself a lot. She's like, oh, like, I can't really be like worried about him cheating, but she does say that she's a very jealous person and that she's a very emotional person, and we do get to see that throughout this episode. As in Indonesia culture, you have to follow your husband's lead, and so she decided to fly to Maine to get married to him, and she did live there for a few years. But she says that since James works a lot, she does tend to get lonely a lot. She's been also experiencing health issues from her throat and her she says that she has headaches, but she said that she apparently, like they said, that she has swollen lymph nodes, but I don't know if she's a hypochondriac or she's just like, that's definitely my dog, just having a lot of anxiety, because like anxiety can make you think that everything is going wrong. When you're under a lot of stress, it does turn into health problems, so I don't want to like make it seem like I'm dismissing her feelings, but she just keeps saying like, I want to go back to Indonesia, I want to go back to Indonesia, because they have better healthcare there. We meet a man named Josh who is 47 and is living in South Carolina. The first segment of him showing him, they show him playing with Legos, even though he is in his late 40s, but I was like, you know what, maybe it's just to help him. I'm sorry about that, I can't do anything about that. He likes to rile up all the neighborhood dogs to his point across. I don't know why he does that, but he's been doing it for years, so I'm just kind of used to it by now. But it's just a way for him to like heal his inner child, because I know that like, I noticed that people, even myself, collect like plushies and stuff, and it's like people say it's to heal their inner child. I thought I was gonna stop collecting them because I'm an adult now, but I was like, you know what, I don't even care, like it makes me happy, I'm just gonna keep doing it. But I try to slow down the squishmallows because I have like 40 of them now, and it is a very expensive collection. Like they're like $20 like each, like it's always around that type of number, so I do try to like minimize my spending when I see a squishmallow. But when I see those Sanrio ones, I always like want them. And I do have Sanrio squishmallows, but that's like one of the things I do collect. I collect a few things actually, just thinking of it like that. But the thing that's weird is that he makes voices for them, and I don't know if it's for the show or if he generally does that, but it was a little bit weird, I'm not gonna lie, because like that's the stuff you do when you're like a little kid and not a grown adult. Like if he had them just in the background of his room, I wouldn't even freaking care. But the fact that he makes little voices for him, I was like, okay, something is definitely wrong up there. I don't know, like is he okay? Did he have trauma? Like what is going on? Basically he says that he's into kid things because he's literally a big kid. So he collects like knickknacks and all that stuff to heal his inner child, I guess. But so recently he sold his house and then sold his furniture, everything he's owned pretty much, and moved back to his family's house, which I could tell is definitely bothering him because he has this condition called misophonia. And it showed a bit where he was like getting really triggered by them eating and scraping their food. And I understand, because I definitely have said, like probably not on a video, but I definitely feel like I have misophonia, because I think in the last few years I've noticed that I've been really triggered by sounds. I feel like it's always been a thing that I've been triggered by certain sounds. It's not every sound in the world, but if you have it, you'll understand. When you have it, it creates a lot of like frustration and anxiety. I don't like sounds of smacking, like food smacking. I don't like door slamming. I don't like hearing the cabinet slammed. I don't like hearing the fridge open and close every 2 seconds. I don't like hearing like clicking sounds from keyboards, because growing up I heard my brother constantly clicking his keyboard through the walls, and it always triggered me to get upset and annoyed, because, well, probably from like since I was a teenager going through that, it probably looked like I was being dramatic, but I felt like something was just brewing, that I was just like, something is wrong up here, because I'm getting really upset of that sound. Like I don't like that sound. Like it's probably like, some people be like, oh, it's annoying, just ignore it, but like I heard it through my headphones, I heard it through the walls. Like I heard it all the time, and it was very frustrating and it was very annoying because he was playing games a lot, so it was just like a constant clicking sound. Like he was doing it like aggressively. I think I even wrote it in my journal, like how frustrated I was about it, because it was a very annoying sound that I heard for years. Getting triggered by sounds that you don't like is basically what the hell it is, if you don't know. He has to wear headphones, and he said that it really affected his life because of it. He goes on to introduce us to his wife Lily, who he met through a language learning app, and he was trying to learn Mandarin and she was trying to learn English. He kind of gave up on learning Mandarin after he met her because I guess it was not that important to him, even though it should be important because that is her first language. And I definitely feel like he should make some efforts in trying to learn it if they're going to be living together. So she lives in China. He proposed to Lily while she was in the US, and they got married in Vegas, and then Lily returned to China a month after they got married to attend her business. She has several businesses, and a lot of it is surrounded by cosmetic. She does it all. They showed a segment where they showed her house, and she has a very expensive looking house. She has like an elevator, she has 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, and she has a movie theater room, which every time I see a movie theater room, I always know that you made it in life, because I always thought those things were cool, and I used to only see him on TV shows. Showed Josh's brother hanging out at the hot tub, and his brother goes on to ask him about like what if you don't have a favorite show ending, and then he says that he won't be able to work there but is aware that there's going to be like stressful events because they're going to be probably tight on money and stuff like that. But he worries about getting judged since he's on a spousal visa and he's legally not allowed to work. And in Chinese culture, they rely on the man to work, allegedly. We meet this woman named Corona, and she introduces us to her man named Inky. It's basically like spelled I-N-G-I, but the G makes a K sound, so it's Inky. She is like practicing to be a doula, a midwife, so she makes videos on how to safely deliver a baby. So she did show that in the segment, like how to do it. She made it like fun and upbeat. She was twerking in it and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that was cool because there's not a lot of people of color doulas, and it's probably really important to have really good representation, because people of color, and when it comes to delivering babies, are very undervalued and misheard. They're very dismissed. That's why we have a high mortality rate, because people think in the medical world that Black women have a different pain tolerance than white women. So especially just people of color in general, they often dismiss their feelings. So it is good representation to have someone like her in this field, because she does have a bachelor in science in nursing with a 4.0 GPA. So yeah, but she's 30 and is from Pennsylvania. Introduce us to her Sphinx cat. I didn't know that one of her cats' name was Tits, but her cat's name is Tits, and I thought I was hearing things when I went to go watch it again. I was like, am I hearing shit? Like, is this for real? But it's for real. Her cat's name is Tits and Tricks. And it's kind of cute in a way, but like when you call them, when you take them to the vet, it's probably so fucking awkward. Like, Tits, where's Tits? Like, do you get in trouble for that? Goes on to talk about her childhood and that she was like an army brat and she had to move around a lot. Let me tell you, okay? I grew up around a lot of military people. My whole life it's been military, and I'm so thankful, since, you know, my dad was in the Navy the majority of my life. I'm so thankful that my mom was like, we're not gonna like move around a lot, because I know that's really hard to adjust for people. Because I know that they were trying to like make him move different places, and my mom was like, no, we're not doing that, we're staying in San Diego, like we're not moving. Like, no. And it's understandable to why, because like the adjustment is like, oh my god, like what's the point of even making friends if you're gonna be moving in 5 or 6 months? Like, what's the point? Like, I feel like it's so isolating. But I've heard it growing up, like people going through that, And I'm just glad that I didn't go through that, because I just stayed in the same district from 1st grade to 6th grade. And I still talk to those people to this day. Like the people that I went to like elementary school with, like I still keep in contact with them when they do reach out, because I don't reach out to anyone, but they do reach out. So like I kept a steady like group of people that I grew up with in that district. She grew up like rebellious, and her mom allegedly kicked her out of the house, but she's lived alone since she was 16. But she also says that to make a living for herself, since she was still a minor living on her own, she decided to become a go dancer. And she was like saying that since, I mean, no one touched her, but she was like twerking and shit in a cage. And I don't know if people knew that she was a minor, but like it is kind of sad to know that, because I remember watching My Family. I don't know if you guys know who My Family is, but she's a YouTuber, but she got kicked out or something when she was like in her mid-teens, and I've been watching her basically grow up since then. And we're only a few years apart from each other, but she's been living on her own since like around that age too. And it kind of sounded like her when she was talking, because she was like, they both are like extremely independent people. That she'll be moving to Iceland to live with her 38-year-old boyfriend Inky, and she met him at a party, and she saw him in the hall, and he let her take a nap on his bed, and then she slid in his DMs like a day after, and they went on a date and stuff like that. Her friend Leo asked if she looked into like midwife schools, and she said, oh, there's only one in Iceland and in a midwife school in the US. And then she decided to let it go because she's gonna be moving to the Iceland. And kind of crazy, because like it was like one of the best midwife schools in America, and she let it go for him. I don't think I would ever be that committed for a man. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think I could risk my career for a man. I just can't see myself doing that, especially if I already like built my empire with what I have. Like I just can't stop my life for a person, because I always think of the what ifs. What if it doesn't work out? And even when I'm in relationships, I'm like, well, what if this doesn't work out? So I don't know if she ever has that, but I feel like she's moving on an impulse. Like she's like being really impulsive right now. Hands to Tata and James, and they were trying to sell like records to make money for their move, because they were like running low on money. And then James says when he goes there, he might have to work with her dad making banana chips, because that's what he does for a living. He goes on to say that they don't have a lot of money, and it will only be like last for like a few months while he's there. And also I do want to mention that his family does not know that he's moving out of the country. So he keeps saying that he wants to wait, and I thought that was really fucked up, because it's such a very immature move. I don't know why he's holding back, but he's just like, I don't want to tell them yet. And she's like, I want to tell them, and he's like, no, I want to wait. And I don't get it. I really don't get the logic in that. I don't think I'll ever understand that. But Tata was explaining that she was like worrying about her family, like his family resenting her because of him moving to another country without their knowledge, and she wants to tell them sooner instead of like dipping and not telling them. And then he said, oh, we had a plan to wait to tell them. And she says that, well, like you always make decisions before confirming to me, and she just has to go with it because he already confirmed it. And it kind of sucks, because I can already tell that there's a huge communication situation here. And this isn't even a communication barrier. This is just straight up like, you suck at communicating, and you're also always withholding like big information. Like, why would you hold those big things? Like, we should count how many red flags this man has, because there's already 50 of them. And I feel like it's gonna be a shit show, especially when he gets to Indonesia. I can already feel it's gonna go bad. He says that he can't sell like any of their vinyl records, because like the music that they were selling was not something that people would be interested in listening to. So while at the store, he starts stressing and saying, well, we need to have an in-depth talk about finances and how we're going to be sustaining ourselves while we're in Indonesia. I'm like, why do you decide to have that now? She's gonna be leaving before you, which will be the next day. And I don't understand why we are having this conversation now. Like, this is like the worst time to have it. Pans to Lily's house, and she's located in Hangzhou, China, and they talk about her house and how she's living it up. She's literally like London Tipton coded, because she looks like she is really well off on her own. She has her own businesses and she takes pride in wealth and stuff like that. And it seems like it sounded like she made it, like built it from the ground up, which is really a boss move, honestly. Tour of her house, and then she goes on to say that she likes a lot of bling and she has a Chinese and English name, which I want to say this. I noticed, I found out about the Chinese and English name when I was like really little, because where I grew up, it was very diverse. And when my mom used to get her nails done, she used to go to this woman named Ivy. I hope she's doing well. I don't know if she still lives in San Diego, but she was super nice growing up. I've seen her like when I would get my nails done over there. And she had a non-English name and an English name. So her English name was Ivy. I don't remember her other name, but I don't understand why they do that. Though that was the only time I think that I would notice that they had English names and other names. Then Josh says he's gonna be bringing her translator because his Mandarin isn't really good, and we all know where that is gonna go, because he is gonna be bringing that everywhere. He's gonna be relying heavily on that because he does not know a lick of Mandarin, and he's gonna be relying on the translator and her. So it's reminding me a lot of Jihoon and Devin.
I'm looking for the translator. Anyway, it's your responsibility. 지금 내 잘못을 인정하고.
Non-stop. And it was just very annoying to watch their segment because it would like break down, it would die on them, and it would like mishear things. And it was just very ghetto to watch it because they would get frustrated at it, because when they were in arguments, they would have to like give it to each other like this, like I want to say this, and he would say like I want to say this. Like, it was a very ghetto segment. I mean, it was ghetto, but it was kind of entertaining. Lily decides to renovate the villa that she lives in, and then she said that she got bankrupt, but I think it's a language barrier, because she said that she spent a lot of money renovating, but Josh was like, that's not bankruptcy, that's, you just spent a lot of money. And then he explained what bankruptcy is. And then while at the house, Tata goes on to say that to keep her occupied, she makes jewelry and sells them for extra money. And then she tells her friend Adele that she's leaving, and then Adele was like upset because she didn't tell her sooner. Tata finds out through Adele that her man doesn't want kids, and she's like, well, maybe he's just scared. Like, I know him, like he's probably just scared. Just kind of ghetto. Like, if someone doesn't want kids,
take that as a sign
that they don't want kids, because when they have kids, he's going to be very emotionally unavailable for them, and he's not going to be a good provider for them, because he's going to be like, I didn't want them anyways. It's a really sucky way to live, to feel unwanted by your parent, and I just don't think it's healthy to bring them into that type of environment. But she was making it seem like it's news to me, because we talked about this before we got married, and he seemed like we were on the same page, but now it sounds like they're not on the same page, because apparently one time when they were, all three of them were hanging out, Tata went to the bathroom, and then he told Adele that he was kind of scared of having kids, and she was like breaking down over that when she found out. Like, she cried a lot in this episode. Some of it is like very valid, but I know that she's going to be getting a lot of hate online because she cries a lot. Hands to Corona, and she says that her relationship with her family got better, but since they have like strong personalities and a lot of them have like anger issues, they tend to butt heads. And she also explained that she has anger issues. Corona explains that her mom is like hard of hearing, so she relies on a tablet, read whatever people are saying, so it's like a live transcript thing, and you can kind of tell that she has like a little bit of a deaf accent when she talks. I always thought those were cute. Like, deaf accents are always been super cute to me. Corona goes on to say that she's leaving to Iceland in less than 2 weeks, and her family was like really upset with her because, well, one, she's telling them last minute, And 2, they never even got to meet Inky before she decides to move there. Family is like, well, what about school? Like, what are you doing about school? And she said she's not gonna go until she goes to Iceland and applies there. Her mom was like, well, since you guys live in different countries, like, she doesn't feel like she really knows each other because they've only hung out for 20 days. And 20 days is really nothing because, like, you can put on a show. People put on a show all the time when it comes to dating, and that front will dissipate after a while. But also we learned that Inky, who was 38 years old, has never been in a relationship before. And then her grandma's like, well, is there a lot of like black people there? Like, what is it like? And Corona's like, well, it's not diverse there. There's like 5 black people there, which is, oh my god. Corona is like, she's trying not to like pop off because, like I said, she has like really bad anger issues. So she's been doing this thing called soft partnering. And it's basically the same thing as gentle parenting, but instead of a child, it's your partner. So she treats him like a bunny. She's never dealt with an angry black woman, and she feels like she can unleash a lot of power. And it's probably gonna be a lot for him because he is a very passive person. Hands to Tata and James, and she's getting ready to pack for her airport to leave to the airport. And James is like,
oh, I have to tell you something.
Like already crying and stuff like that. And he's like, oh, Jojo, who is their dog, that I don't know if they got together or it was already his dog and then she adopted him, I don't know, like, he can't come right away. And she thought, she had the intentions of thinking that they're all gonna be going together at the same time. Well, she's gonna be going the next day, and then he's gonna be going 2 months after, and then she thought that he was gonna be bringing Jojo with him. But since there's like a lot of like rabies outbreaks over there, and I guess Rona outbreaks out there, he was worried about him like catching it. And it sounded like he wasn't really like on his shit with his shots. And so like it sounded like he wasn't like really on it like he should be. And she was upset because she thought he was already getting it handled and stuff like that. But apparently he was doing a lot of research, and she was bawling her eyes out like really bad. It was actually pretty heartbreaking because I can tell she really loves that dog. And I would go berserk if I was away from my dogs or any of my animals, any 7 of my pets. He says that he did a lot of research, and I don't understand when this was filmed because he's talking about Rona being like acting like Rona just dropped like an album. Like he's acting like it just happened. So I don't know the timeline of when this was filmed, but he was mentioning Rona. And he was saying like, oh, if he has any of those symptoms, they will euthanize him. And that made her cry even more, which understandably so, because that dog looks very healthy, and it would suck for him to go to a different country and just pass away. But I don't know how true that is, because over here, like, yes, they do euthanize pets when they have rabies. I don't ever recall them ever putting down animals that had Rona, and I don't ever recall dogs in America having symptoms of Rona. So I was just like, what is going on? And then she was like saying that if they don't have kids, like Jojo will always be her kid that she'll share with James. And so that is pretty much all of that episode. They didn't show Statler and Dempsey in this episode, but I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I don't know when you guys be seeing this, but I will be going to school really soon, so I will be posting like my episode recaps in the end of the week. So there's that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little thing. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, check out my socials, everything down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.